This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
PNG Securities Commission directors announced today. Gold bullion state agreement argued in Supreme Court. And St. John Ambulance celebrates 40 years anniversary. Good evening, you're watching National Emtv News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. We begin this evening with our capital markets, and former BSP CEO Robin Fleming and senior lecturer and head of Banking Services and Finance Division at UPNG, Dr. Solomon Awili, have been named as public interest directors for the capital markets and the PNG Security Commission. The announcement was made this morning by Minister Responsible Richard Maru to build investor confidence and develop the capital markets.
The Marape-Rossa government's focus to make our capital markets to be world-class, to improve investor confidence and be the capital hub of the Blue Pacific gained momentum this morning with the Minister for Trade and International Investment, Richard Maru, as the Minister responsible for capital markets, moving to undertake regulatory reforms to improve governance, disclosure, compliance, investors' protection and investor confidence by making the formal announcement.
We have now decided as government to appoint two of the best financial sector experts in Papua New Guinea to the board of the Port Moresby Stock Exchange to represent the government. Robin Fleming, the former CEO of BSP, that we have also decided to appoint Dr. Awili to be the other board director of the Port Moresby Stock Exchange.
The minister revealed that the appointments were merit-based.
I think when we put very credible experts, industry leaders in such positions, it will give confidence to investors to start trusting our stock exchange and to start bringing their stocks and start listing in the Port Moresby Stock Exchange. So, government, we are doing our part. We recognize we can't make political appointees. We can only make merit-based appointments.
In welcoming the two directors, Acting Managing Director for the Security Commission, James Joshua, congratulated the two directors and spoke of the vision of Minister Maru in line with the Marape-Rossa government's aim.
And we thank the political will now that the government is pushing for the capital market of PNG to have enablers in place, the fundamentals in place, the regulatory laws, rules, policies, codes that should be in place to open up the market, to have avenues for capital raising.
Speaking on behalf of an absent Mr. Fleming, Dr. Solomon Awili thanked the Marape-Rossa government for their foresight and spoke of the importance of growing the capital markets.
Growth of the private sector is so important because they provide employment opportunities. They are seen as the driver for the economy. And how we grow that is an important challenge that is faced by the government, policymakers and regulators.
Both Mr. Robin Fleming and Dr. Solomon Awili have a wealth of experience in the capital market space. And Minister Richard Maru encouraged all stakeholders in the industry to work closely with the two appointees for further development of the market. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
Meanwhile, the election petition by unsuccessful candidate for the 2022 National General Election, Peter Wararu, against Yanguru South Sea MP and Minister for International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru, and the Electoral Commission was dismissed by the National Court of Waigani yesterday. The petition was filed to challenge Minister Maru's 2022 election win, alleging errors, omission, and illegal practices.
Speaking in his boardroom office, the Yanguru South Sea MP did not hold back his frustrations, as according to him, this is the third time he has been challenged by a serial petitioner.
What I want the country to know is, and it's very interesting, in Yangon Social, in the last 3 elections, only one person takes me to court. The same person called Peter Wararu. Nobody else is interested in taking me to court because they all know I win the elections on merit. The people have chosen me. I win by big margins, and I'm the preferred choice as leader of Yangon Social. And I'm the first Yangon Social leader to win an election for the 3rd time running.
According to the Yanguru Sausia MP, he, along with the Electoral Commission, each filed objections on May the 17th, 2023, questioning the competency of Mr. Peter Wararu's petition, claiming it had missing crucial components. The MP stated that the petition was a waste of time for everyone, depriving the people from getting services from their local member.
You see, in the 3 election petitions, none of the grounds that he has taken me to court in 2012, after 2012 election, 2017, or even the recent election, has any merit. So the courts have always, I've never gone to trial. At the competency stage, the court always dismisses the cases having no basis and no merit. So it's important that Papua New Guinea and my people of Yangon Social understand there was no basis for me to be taken to court in all 3 elections.
Mr. Maru also highlighted that there needs to be a change in the laws for those who use the courts with no proper evidence to claim their cases.
Yeah, a change in the sense that I think when you look at all the election petition cases and the number of members winning, very, very few win their cases, very few. So we must come to a point where we must heavily penalize those who continuously go to court without any basis, with no merit. So we will be discussing that in the government caucus. They waste all our time. Instead of being in parliament, we are sitting in court. And the courts now demand that members must always appear when the cases are on. And we have to respect the courts. So you see the amount of time they waste, and the cost, and just the inconvenience.
The MP revealed that next week he will return back to the Yanguru Sausia district, where some major projects will be announced, such as opening of a school and the visitation to certain bridges that need to be upgraded. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
The Supreme Court matter concerning the state's appeal against Justin Parker in his capacity as the owner of Parker Holdings Limited, shareholder in the Golden Valley Enterprises Limited, was heard before presiding Judge Justice Hudson this week at the Waigani Supreme Court. The matter has been adjourned to next week, Thursday, the 29th of June 2023. This matter was on the National Gold Refinery Project Agreement between the state and the Refinery Holdings Pte Limited of Singapore. The appellant, which is the state, was ordered to make available documents on the relevant information regarding the National Gold Refinery Project and Mint Project. The state has then made an appeal on the 6th of June to stay the court orders. Hence, only a stay will therefore stop the enforcement of the orders, as they are already subject of the appeal. This means that the state would not be responsible to produce any copies of the documents whereby the respondent Justin Parker is not legally entitled to, unless or otherwise provided under the Organic Law and Act of the Parliament, pursuant to Section 51 of the Constitution. The adjournment is due to the unavailability of sealed copies of documents that have been presented to the state by Parker's lawyers, represented by the Saulep lawyers. Due to what is claimed to be the unpreparedness of Parker's lawyers, the highest court of the land has ruled its orders that the matter to be returned on the 29th of June 2023 at 3 p.m. for inter-party hearing. To police news, and killings in the northern province have been frequent over the last months. Just yesterday, a teenage boy under the influence of homebrew killed his father after an argument erupted in Agenambo village along the Kokoda Highway. A community leader from Agenambo said homebrew consumption is becoming a norm and needs to be addressed at all levels effectively starting now.
The consumption of homebrew, commonly known as Eveka, in the Northern Province has resulted in frequent killings and stabbings. This was revealed by John Randolph Kerari, a community leader from Agenambo. He said a grade 6 teenage boy, heavily intoxicated with local homebrew, attacked his father with a spade, causing instant death. He recalled how the incident occurred through a telephone interview this morning with Emtv News.
The mother went looking for the son, who happened to be actually brewing this
Eveka?
homebrew stuff, Eveka, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was already intoxicated with the homebrew stuff. So, angered by the mother's report, the son goes up and starts a fight with the father, and apparently used a spade to hit him on the head, which caused bleeding.
According to Mr. Kerari, consumption of this local homebrew has caused youth to behave violently towards the community, even attacking those close family members. Kerari said the issue with homebrew consumption is a provincial one that needs intervention by all sectors in the Northern Province. He then appealed to the Northern Provincial Government to address this issue swiftly.
My call to the governor would be that he needs to come up with something fast to address the issues of the youth. Not just the governor, but the three local MPs as well from the three districts. They need to put their heads together and work to come up with a solution.
Mr. Kerari does voluntary counseling and spiritual work at Agenambo, Barewoturu, and Koipa areas along the Middle Kaiva area. Meantime, Northern Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Ewai Segi said with the manpower boost of Mobile Squad 20 deployed to the province last week, police is expected to maintain visibility and provide regular patrols up Kokoda and down Oro Bay roads, respectively. Everyone in the province needs to collaboratively work together to curb this lawlessness that is affecting men, women and children at this time in the Northern Province. Lindy Suharupa, National Emtv News.
A day of celebration for the St. John Ambulance staff today, as they commemorated their International St. John Ambulance Day by celebrating 40 years of emergency ambulance services in Port Moresby. The day holds great significance for the St. John charity organizations around the world.
After an ambulance officers parade, the event saw staff as well as volunteers recognized and awards of outstanding performance in ambulance operations presented in a humble yet gallant ceremony. Reflecting on the importance of the day was St. John Ambulance CEO Matt Cannon.
Day is celebrated by independent St. John organisations around the world. We're all independent in how we operate. We all belong to the countries in which we operate, but we all share something common, and that's a rich history over hundreds of years providing health and humanitarian services to people in need. And around the world we celebrate this day. This is the birthday of John the Baptist. If you know, that's what the St. John organisation is named after. And it's a real opportunity for St. John people here in Papua New Guinea. We have over 300 St. John men and women now that are serving our communities, and it's a day for them to reflect on the work they do and also celebrate some of the achievements.
The CEO highlighted that service delivery of such nature as St. John ambulances is never an easy task, but a noble one.
The community of NCD is growing significantly, and the demand being placed upon the ambulance service, being the number of people that are calling for an ambulance, is increasing. And it's vital that to keep up with that demand, we can staff more ambulances, particularly during the busy periods, over the weekends, during the days, and sometimes at the night. So it's important that we can work with the National Capital District Commission, Governor Parkop and his team to meet that demand.
Sharing similar sentiments was the Assistant Chief of Ambulance Service Nathaniel Terence Torrea, who expressed satisfaction in serving humanity through this line of work.
What we do at St. John, we go out and help people who are in need of medical assistance in the community, and that's really changed my life. I kind of see humanity in a really different way now because of what we do, the service we bring to the people, and the satisfaction we get out of it.
With a collective staff of about 300, St. John Ambulance currently has 7 stations across the country serving the people of Papua New Guinea. Natasha Ovoy, National Emtv News.
National Emtv News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National Emtv News. The PNG Christian Leaders Alliance on HIV/AIDS has called on the government to allocate the work of HIV/AIDS to the churches in the country, as they have the best structure compared to the government to prevent the spread of HIV/AIDS. This was said by the Deputy Chairman, Pastor Daniel Hewali, today during their board meeting for the upcoming second HIV/AIDS Summit in 2024.
Pastor Hewali said people are not complying with the word of God, hence people's actions are leading to the increasing number of HIV/AIDS in the country.
Disease that we have, it affects the life of people. And we are going to deal that with the word of God. As a Christian nation, we are going to go God's way. And I know that when we do that, yes, the HIV/AIDS disease that we have in our nation can be minimized. And also it's a behavioral attitude. It's a behavior of people. If we can comply to the word of God and go by it, I believe and I know that HIV/AIDS can bring under control.
Josephine Mamis, representing Live Health Services, says its health centers discover about 4 to 5 cases every month, but with the help of churches, she believes that they can prevent the spread of HIV in the country.
If they can force a team, put a team together to, try to tackle this case or HIV program, I see a good future for the country, because yes, if you talk about church-run facilities in the country, we go down to the remotest part of the country, and that's where the church, you can find a church there. So if we are funded to run these HIV programs, that I see that it will work.
They have 4 important focus areas as a Church Leaders Alliance on HIV/AIDS, which include governance, advocacy, partner networking, and research.
Church have the best structure, far more better than the government. It filters right down to the village level. Yes. If the government can give the HIV/AIDS work to the church rather than the health department, because they got so many things to do, we'll be in a better position to take that on board. Church is prepared.
Esther Gane, National Emtv News.
The chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reform and Service Delivery, Gary Jufa, said most of the government departments do not have an archiving culture. He said their major effort now is to look at undertaking a roadmap for the restructuring of the public sector.
Governor Jufa confirmed that the committee found serious issues in the public sector as many government departments do not have a good stock of information of history to clearly outline the scope of their work. Juva says the committee is now working in collaboration with the Department of ICT to find a solution to this issue.
Since many government departments don't have a good stock of information of history about their government departments and what they've been doing for the last 10, 20, 30 years, So, and many government departments move around from building to building, and a lot of documents, a lot of data gets lost. That's why there is an effort now that we are quite pleased to see, where the Department of Information Technology, the new department, is looking at how to create a system where all the information can be stored on cloud. And now a lot of data has been lost. Many government departments, if you go through these departments, they don't have data going back 20 years. They rarely have data going back 10 years. Some have data just going back maybe even 5 or 2 years.
Governor Juva says the committee does not know what is taking so long to upgrade the system, which was last updated in 2002.
For instance, Secretary Sansan, from what I do know, who has only been recently appointed, has already undertaken steps to upgrade that system. So from when she arrived, prior to that, we have to ask the previous heads of that department what they did and why it took them such a long time to upgrade. They may have legitimate reasons, but we feel that, from 2003 until now, that is that's 20 years. That software was not upgraded for 20 years.
Member for Wawaria, who is a member of the committee, said they will now post the report for the public and the responsible authorities to also have a look at it.
The report of the Parliamentary Committee and the audit will be posted on our website. So that will be a good source of information for you media personnel and also the public to put the executive government and the public service machinery on scrutiny. Public should provide the accountability, enforce accountability. So that will be a good opportunity for the public to go and see and also follow up on those recommendations, because this is something that about 1% of the total population of this country is consuming 50% of our national budget.
Estagane, National Emtv News.
President for Kutubu LLG, John Pipikila, has questioned where the Special Purpose Authority for Kutubu LLG is and why the committee, if it does exist, are not working with him. This issue was also raised in the recent Parliament sitting, where Minister for Provincial and Local Level Government Affairs was asked to look into this matter.
A vocal president today, upon addressing the media, is calling on the provincial governor for Southern Highlands, William Poi, Nipa Kutubu MP, Dr. Billy Joseph, and the Minister for Provincial and Local Level Government Affairs, Soroi Eowe, to find out who is part of the Kutubu SPA committee and ask what they have been doing.
Kutubu Special Purpose Authority, Emistablo, where? Emino work wonder me Kutubu local level government. Where is the authority now? Authority operate on someone. Mila calling Minister of Provincial Affairs. Inab you looking issue. Istab inside of Kutubu Special Purpose Authority.
President John Pipikila questioned the existence of the Kutubu Special Purpose Authority, asking if they do exist, then why are they not working with him as the president for Kutubu Local Level Government?
Who said he misuses minister? Me foul. Now could meet local level government, all call him also. Kutubu Local Level Government Special Purpose Authority. The constitution, the law, and Mr. Bolson. How na Kutubu Special Purpose Authority in a work one of LLG?
Mr. Pipikila says for the past 20 years, he has heard nothing from the SPA committee. He said Kutubu SPA should be working with him as a team in order to provide and bring in much needed services to the people. He added that they are aware of the many challenges people are going through and they must come forward and work closely with Kutubu local level government as people are faced with issues in regards to health, transport, electricity, education and other vital services.
Looking issue long Kutubu Special Purpose Authority. Who said is that a Special Purpose Authority chairman? I don't know. Only who wanted me. I am the Kutubu local level government president here. So where is the Kutubu local level Special Purpose Authority? I'm sorry, where? Me planning. So me like in Kutubu Special Purpose Authority must work under me. Na 10 block Kutubu Special Purpose Authority expire.
While Mr. Pipikila is appealing to his leaders in the province on the SPA issue, Minister for Provincial and Local Level Government Affairs, Soroi Eowe, stated in the recent Parliament sitting that the matter will be looked at.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2810 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, Yokina was buying $0.2735 US, $0.4015 Australian dollars, $0.2420 euro, 38.75 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed lower, copper closed higher, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading higher, copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National MTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back to National MTV News. The National Disaster Center has announced its new acting director today at the National Disaster Center office in Port Moresby. Lucette Lassomana is taking over from Colonel Carl Rakone as the new director of the center.
Mr. Lucette Mana will be acting director for the center for 3 months. He said he will not take the job lightly as there is so much to be done, such as the reviewing of the NDC structure.
The Disaster Management Act, the 1984 Disaster Management Act, we have identified many loopholes, and that act itself cannot address the current DRM issues.
Outgoing Director Colonel Carl Rakonai has also outlined that these areas, as outlined by Mr. Mana, are important for the center to progress.
A lot of work has been done to review the NDC structure. As acting director has been briefed yesterday during the office handover. The officers from the Department of Personnel Management of the Reform and HR divisions have helped NDC to put the documents together. It is strongly suggested that NDC continue to work with TPM to complete the exercise.
The new director was also challenged by the Secretary for Defense and Chairman for NDC, John Hari Akipe, to deliver the key task as reviewing the NDC structure and the corporate plan.
With the review of the Disaster Management Act 1984 and the review of the NDC structure, there is needed to be continued to provide leverage for the center to properly perform its functions. NDC should also ensure the completed corporate plan 2022 to 2026 is launched soon to form the basis for other priorities to be attempted. I think this will be the big challenge for the incoming acting director, Mr. Mana.
Lucette Mana, the new acting director, has been working with the National Disaster Center for more than 20 years. Cynthia Maku, National MTV News.
The Office of the Solicitor General of PNG and the Victorian Bar Australia concluded its week-long intensive advocacy skills workshop today at the West New Britain House in Port Moresby. This is part of the PNG Australia Law and Justice Partnership funded by the Australian government. The Intensive Advocacy Skills Workshop had around 20 state lawyers participating throughout this week, and the workshop saw its successful conclusion today. The state lawyers were presented with certificates from their participation in the workshop. All throughout the program, they have learned on the introduction to medical negligence and cross-examination with the techniques in place, expert evidence and closing submissions, and the introduction to appeals. Solicitor General Tauvasa Tanuvasa explained the outcome of the workshop.
Privileged to work with the Victorian Bar Association. They have provided King's Counsel, even senior counsels that are based in Victoria, and we have wealth of experience and knowledge in conducting trials, and they have imparted that onto my lawyers. And already I can see the confidence grow with my lawyers, and I'm very proud and happy to see them, to see them more alive in the way they look at things, look at the way they look at trials.
3 workshops were conducted by 14 members of the Victorian Bar in Port Moresby. The workshop was for the Solicitor General's Office, trainees from the Legal Training Institute, and the judges from the Judicial Services. Good news for the people of Gulf. The Gulf provincial government presented a check of 3 million kina to Samaritan Aviation, cementing a partnership in health service delivery for the people of Gulf province through an MOU which was signed in September 2022.
Since pre-independence, health services in the Gulf province has had its struggles. This was outlined in a small but significant ceremony when the acting provincial administrator spoke about the difficulty of health services in the Gulf province.
Gulf province is a very unique province in terms of service delivery. You have the rivers, the channels that are crossing the western part of the province, and to take services out to those remote villages sometimes is very, very hard.
The Gulf Provincial Deputy Governor Morris Taudovan highlighted Good Samaritan Aviation's experience and services which is needed by the provincial government to bring health services to the people of Gulf.
You came around to the province, you saw it yourself. You've got the experience. We just need the services that you can provide for us. Too many of our people dying and paying their lives with no better medical facilities.
Michelle Hawafa, Advisory Board Member for Good Samaritan Aviation, paid tribute to the member for Kikori Soroi Eoi and the Gulf Governor Chris Haiveta, who was unable to be present.
At this stage, I just want to acknowledge Honourable Soroi Eoi through the Kikori DDA. He's supported Samaritan Aviation with 500,000 kina over 5 years. Thank you for your support. We're excited to bring these services to the people of Gulf Province. We couldn't do anything without these important partnerships. And we're really proud to say that Samaritan Aviation has that track record in doing that. We talk about Samaritan Aviation being the hands and feet of Jesus, and this is exactly what they are. It takes commitment and it takes love. So thank you once again for your support. Thank you to Honourable Soroi Eoi, and thank you very much to Governor Chris Haiveta.
The CEO of Good Samaritan Aviation, Mark Palm, shared his experience and the harsh realities of health and the desire to assist the people of Papua New Guinea, which started 30 years ago.
It's been almost 30 years now since the first time I came to Papua New Guinea. On that trip, we saw a need. People 1 to 3, 4 days away from the only hospital living along remote rivers. And the question was, how can we turn a 3-day trip to the hospital into a 1-hour flight? We've saved tens of thousands of lives through medicine delivery, over 100,000 kgs of medicine delivered.
Acting Governor Morris Taudovan presented a check on behalf of the Governor of Gulf Province, Chris Haiveta, and acknowledged the preparatory work already conducted by Samaritan Aviation. Rocky Iso, National Emtv News.
And now moving to overseas news now, and Russia says Ukraine has attacked a bridge linking Ukraine to the Crimean Peninsula with long-range British missiles.
The two parallel bridges were both damaged, but no injuries have been reported. The bridge is the shortest route from Crimea to the front line in the south. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of hiding the bodies of victims of the Kakhovka dam breach. The dam was destroyed earlier this month, causing widespread flooding, which hit settlements and farmland across the region. Mr. Zelensky says Russia is trying to destroy evidence.
Of course, we also have information about what is happening in the occupied part of the Kherson region. To describe it, even the word catastrophe is not strong enough. The Russian evil has formed special groups there to remove and obviously hide the victims' bodies. This is not the first time Russia is doing such a thing, seeking to destroy the evidence and traces of its crimes in the occupied territory.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's intelligence agencies say Russia could be considering carrying out a terrorist attack that would release radiation from the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. The Kremlin denies that allegation. The nuclear plant has been under Russian occupation since shortly after Moscow's forces invaded Ukraine last year.
National Emtv News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Telecom Limited has been the major sponsor again for the 48th Kokopo Open Golf Tournament this year. As the major sponsor, this is the third year for the Telecom Limited to sponsor the Kokopo Golf Tournament.
Telecom Limited manager retail Bill Watovo said Telecom Limited is proud and will continue to be part of the business community in the province as well as the nation.
The officials here in the club, the catering team, we are all smiling today because of the table that you have provided for us. So again, thank you all. And the players, the greenkeepers, and everybody else who have participated one way or the other to keep this place.
Golf captain Jeff Stevenson expressed appreciation for having Telecom Limited on board.
We're very, very pleased to have Telecom on board. They're a wonderful sponsor. They have a great product. They've looked after us very well, and we look forward to having Telecom with us for a few more years yet, because it's been very productive. It's good for their sales team. They've got players here that can have their range of products, which is getting better. So yeah, it works out well for both sides.
This year's tournament is said to be down with numbers, as they were down with 8 players from last year and about 28 players down the year before. However, this year's tournament had brought some players from New Ireland, thus bringing the number of competitors to 53 players playing individual games. The tournament has 3 categories, having 24 men's, 19 ladies and 5 juniors for the Kokopo Open alone, which will be a subsidiary to the actual main event. Natasha Ovoy, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Moving on to overseas sports. More than 500 Indigenous students are set to compete in the Indigenous Nationals competition in Australia.
So, for example, we've got a trivia night on the Tuesday night, which is pretty exciting. And then we've also got a celebrations night, which will happen on the Thursday night. And that's sort of the best part about Indigenous Games, being able to meet other mob and really just the social aspect, because the environment is just, it's electric. Everyone's just happy to see each other. You don't get this chance anytime else. So everyone just takes the opportunity.
Australian Alex de Minaur has booked his place in the last 8 of the tennis tournament at Queen's.
The 6-2, 6-2 win came in just over an hour and sets up a quarter-final encounter with either Frenchman Adrian Manarino or American Taylor Fritz. Elsewhere, Andrei Rublev defeated Yannick Hanfmann in straight sets 7-6, 6-3 to advance to the quarter-finals in Germany. All players have their eyes on the Wimbledon tournament, which begins next month.
The Australian women's cricket team have done very well against England in the first day of the Ashes series in England.
She was promoted to number 3. Meg Lanning, the skipper, wasn't playing, and she was dismissed after she sliced one directly towards gully, so departing obviously 1 run short of the milestone. Had she made the ton, she would have become just the second Australian woman to score 3 Test centuries in Ashes matches, but overall the Aussies would be thrilled. At stumps, they went in at 7 for 328, a commanding position. We heard Rachel Haynes yesterday, the former vice-captain of the side, speaking how this is a 5-day test, so they'll definitely get a result. So this definitely puts us in the box seat as we have a brilliant bowling attack as well.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, Port Moresby City, mostly fine. Popondetta, cloudy periods with possible showers. In the Momase region, Lae City, few showers and possible thunderstorms. Vanimo, cloudy periods with some showers and possible thunderstorms. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorms. Buka, possible showers or 2. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, cloudy periods with some showers and possible thunderstorms. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Friday, the 23rd of June, 2023. From all of us here, have a safe and wonderful weekend. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.